Hello everyone. So we're going to take a look at this spark plug today, and we're going to see if this bike's running lean or rich. Why are we doing that? Well, I've done a few mods to the bike, and this 2023 KLX300R, everybody talks about how these bikes run lean, and not to take the air cleaner snorkel off, not to put a slip-on on without tuning the bike, things like that. You know, put a tuner on it, put more fuel in the engine to keep it running clean, you know, keep it running not lean. I'm gonna clean it up, and we're gonna take that spark plug out, and we're gonna take a look at it, and we're gonna see if this engine is really running lean or rich. I will talk to you about the performance I got out of this bike with the air cleaner, top removed, the slip-on on the bike. Did the engine light come on when I removed the pair valve? All kinds of fun stuff. So I'm hoping to answer a lot of questions for y'all. Went out and rode yesterday, did a lot of woods riding, had a blast, bike ran great. Look forward to talking to y'all in a little bit. All right, everyone, so the bike's nice and clean now. I got it all cleaned off. The stickers came off with the pressure washer, so now we got a bike with no stickers, but still looks great. It's a KLX300. So let's take a look at the spark plug, and we're gonna look at how lean or rich this engine may be running after I put this slip on the bike, remove the snorkel, did the pair valve delete with no programmer on the bike. So let's take a look at it. Get you the best view we can here. There you go. So you can kind of see, let me get it to focus. You can kind of see the black tip right in the very middle of the plug sticking up, and then you can see that round piece around it that kind of looks a little white. So when it looks a little white like that, that indicates that the engine is running a little lean. There you go, you can see it. Looks like it's running a little lean. Before I ran this bike, before I put all this stuff on, it was all black. Everywhere we see white, it was all black, which is good. And you can see the ground strap. That's a little white too. So it is indeed running a little leaner after I put the slip on the bike and remove the snorkel from the air cleaner. So, and we're going to look at that a little bit because there's a little bit more to that snorkel, I think, than people think. But let's talk about lean and rich real quick. It's running a little lean, so it's not like red alert or anything. I've seen them super white before. The plug's super white, which indicates really high combustion chamber temperature due to it running super lean. So it's not like major red alert, but myself, being OCD, probably like everyone else that owns one of these machines, you know, it's your pride and joy and you really want it to be top notch so you can go out and play and have fun. I will eventually have to look at getting a programmer on there so I can put some more fuel in the cylinder to keep that cylinder cool and run a little richer. Now, you might be like, that doesn't make any sense. The guy said, put a little bit more fuel in the cylinder, keep that cylinder cool so it can run a little richer. You probably, you might be thinking, well, if I put more fuel in the cylinder, that's probably going to increase my combustion chamber temperature, right? Which is going to, cause my header pipe to glow red, which people talk about and all that stuff. Let's back up for a minute. I'll give you the skinny real quick on lean and rich. All right, keep it nice and simple. A spark plug that is super white or a little white like that means basically what you have for a fuel and air mixture is you have too much air and not enough fuel. So it's important that your bike doesn't run lean with too much air and not enough fuel, because if it does run lean with too much air and not enough fuel, your combustion chamber temperature is going to be high, really high, way higher than what it should be. It's going to shorten the life of the engine, and your header pipe could glow red. Mine has never done it. There's a little, rainbow action there from, just normal heat, but I've never had the red header pipe out of this 300R, which has been great. But if you're running lean, you're going to have high combustion chamber temperature in your cylinder. That could shorten the life of the engine. You eventually could have your valve seats fall to your cylinder head, fall to your engine, cause a catastrophic failure. It's going to shorten the life of your engine because it's going to be running so hot. Very, very, very hot. And, you would think that when you don't run enough fuel and too much air that it would run cooler because that fuel there's not enough fuel going in there, so not making that much heat. That's not necessarily how it works in a gasoline engine. Believe it or not, when engines run rich, they actually can run a little cooler. Rich basically means too much fuel and not enough air. And you got to recall, in any kind of gasoline engine, you can dump all the fuel in there you want to in the world, but if you do not have the air to keep that fuel burning, the fire's going to go out in the cylinder, and you're not going to be making any more power. If anything, with an engine that's running too rich, once you use up all the oxygen in the cylinder from the combustion process, the leftover fuel that's in that cylinder is actually going to put that fire out, and it's going to result in a plug that's going to be black all the way around. That's going to indicate that you're running super rich. So super rich is going to follow plugs. You're not going to have the power. It'll be a little sluggish, things like that. So not the end of the world with what I'm dealing with right here, but I am going to need to put something on the machine to give her a little bit more fuel. So we're going to do that. Not today. Haven't purchased one. I got to figure out which one I'm going to get, but we're going to do that. We'll talk about Paravalve real quick, and then we'll talk about this snorkel. So Paravalve was removed. Like in one of the videos, I showed how I removed it and disconnected it from the connector, removed it from the engine. I went out riding yesterday, put several hours on the bike, did a lot of trail riding, had a great time, and the engine light came on from the Paravalve. So what I did is I just plugged the Paravalve back in. It's right there. And it's just plugged in electrically. I'm gonna have to zip tie it up. But as you can see, the hoses aren't connected or anything. So the ECM on the engine knows it's there, but it's not smart enough to really know that it's hooked up. So that'll turn the engine light off. I'll just have it plugged in. That'll be it. So this snorkel, all right. I'm gonna talk about the power that I got out of this bike too. It's unbelievable. You know, removing this snorkel is cool, and everybody likes to talk about it. And it goes down in here like so. Or, yeah, it goes down in there like so. And everybody's like, you know, you got this big opening here to let a little bit more air in. What does that really do? That allows more air to go in the airbox, that's for sure. But the thing that a lot of people need to realize and pay attention to, the way this opening is and the way this snorkel is built, if you look at it, this whole section of this snorkel is actually pushed up against that air filter, which, if you know much about surface area with filters, you could pretty much, it's like taking your hand and putting it over the filter and stopping air from going through the filter is basically what that snorkel was doing. It was reducing the amount of surface area, usable surface area for this air filter to filter air going into the engine, which basically is overall reducing the physical size of that air filter and creating a restriction on the intake side of the engine, which will reduce the amount of air going into it. And, you know, as I said earlier before, you know, the plug was black, now it's a little whiter, so that kind of makes sense. But I will say, for the couple of hours that I spent riding the bike, it was an unbelievable amount of power that I had from it. You know, and I didn't even do the header pipe. Didn't do that. That's the stock header pipe, and I just put the T6 slip-on on, and I normally ride in third gear quite a bit through the woods, depending on the woods, second, third gear. If it's open enough and I can roll, I'll get into fourth, and she'll and open her up, you know. And, you know, I mean, if you're riding on like roads and stuff or like huge wide open trails that are just flat, you can get into fifth and sixth and just rock and roll. But the power in the bottom end that I got out of this bike, you really notice it when you're riding trails, tight turns, you're going up hills. The power that I got was in the bottom of the gears, second and third gear. I mean, you feel it in all the gears, but the gears you're riding the most, for me, second and third, very noticeable. Going up hills, coming out of turns, it was much easier to ride. Didn't have to use the clutch as much to kind of get the power that I needed. So overall, I was very satisfied with the power that I got out of it. And then looking at a programmer in the future that's going to give me a little bit more power is even more exciting. I think it's going to be great. And the bike sounds really good too. It sounds really nice. It sounds a lot more like a 4-stroke, which is great. I mean, it's a little louder, but people have commented about it being a lot louder. It's not, to me, it was fine. It sounds like, you know, maybe a KX250 or any of the other 250 bikes or 450s, you know. So I mean, not super louder, but it does sound good. I'll do a short of the bike running and you guys can kind of hear it run if you want to, but that's the deal with a slip-on and a, removing the snorkel. Everybody talks about it, and that's the deal with the spark plug. That's how you really tell if it's running lean or rich. And the conclusion today here is she ran a little leaner with the slip-on put on the bike and with the snorkel removed. So we are going to need to throw something on there, throw a little bit more fuel into the engine, keep that combustion chamber temperature down. And, the bonus for me is going to get even more power than she already has. That'll be super exciting. So stay tuned, and when that day comes, when we get that that fine piece of equipment to throw on here to throw a little bit more fuel in the engine, we'll take her for a spin and we'll give you some feedback on how she ran, and we'll look at that spark plug again just to see what color it is. Thanks for watching. Any questions, drop them in the comments. Any feedback, drop them in the comments. And if I could get a like from you from this video, that'd be great. Thanks for watching.